During colonial expansion, the missionaries were in full active force, but there was a limitation to what the natives of non-European lands could participate in. They weren't given responsibility to be priests and sisters, which was detrimental to the spread of Christianity, but in 1889, one woman saw a different future. She knew that for a faith to survive, it couldn't be a guest, it had to be a neighbor. This woman, they say, had an iron head. She was Jean Bigard, born into a wealthy family on December 2, 1859, in Coutances, France. Due to her frail health, Jean spent her school years in the family's home in Caen, the city where her father had moved for work. The level of instruction that she received at home was certainly higher than that received by many of her peers, but it did not grant her the experience of much freedom, carefree playfulness, or friendship. Alas, tragedy struck. Her father committed suicide, and her brother was tragically killed in a fire. These events eventually led Jean and her mother, Stephanie, to live as recluses, dedicating their lives and substantial fortune to prayer and charitable works. During this time, missionary work was spreading, and so was the fear that it would die if responsibility wasn't handed over to indigenes. The two Bigards dedicated themselves to address this concern. The starting point was a letter addressed to them dated June 1, 1889, by the Bishop of Nagasaki, Giulio Alfonso Cousin. Concerned that he would, for lack of funds, have to send boys back to their families who could have been excellent seminarians, he asked the Bigards to become supporters of his seminary. He suggested the idea of adopting a seminarian who would later bring to the holy altar the memory of the parents who had supported him. For Jean and Stephanie, the letter sounded like a call. They immediately devoted themselves to raising funds for the seminarians. Soon, Jean and her mother founded the Society of St. Peter the Apostle, blessed by the Pope 4 years prior. Inspired by the revelation of her vocation, she went on to absorb herself in funding of seminaries and the training of the religious, especially in Africa and Asia. But tragedy struck again. Alone at the bedside of her dying mother, Stephanie, on January 5, 1903, Jean begged Jesus to be her traveling companion, until the day I lose myself in your love. She was worried about the continuation of the society, which she eventually entrusted to the religious congregation of the Franciscan Missionaries of Mary in 1905. The society thrived to become a pontifical one in 1922, but she didn't. After a long illness, she gave up the ghost in 1934. Till today, her influence remains, and millions have answered their call to religious life through her, as can still be seen in the story of Bigard Memorial Seminary in Enugu, Nigeria, dedicated to her. If you like more content like this, please support us by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing.